Hey y'all. So in today's video, I want to share a concept that isn't really rooted in any science or anything, but this is how I've come to view the world and how we live in this world. And hopefully this can help you navigate this world better as well. So imagine that each of us living in this world exists within, let's say, sub worlds. So each of you have your own world, right? It's actually kind of true because each of us does have a very different worldview from another person. And so within our world view, or I'm just going to say our world, inside your mind, okay? Inside your mind and inside your body, that's your own world. So within your own world, you are conditioned a certain way, you think a certain way, you were taught to do things a certain way, your biology all works a certain way. And it is distinctly different, like very different from how someone else's own world. Okay, we are all very unique. No two people are exactly the same, even identical twins. And so we are, like I said, within biology and within the social conditionings, have our own worldview. We have our own world. And as we interact with the real world, we are faced with some decisions. We either, so the real world presents itself to us as, let's say, problems. And if we're facing that problem, we will behave a certain way. And out of that interaction with the world, we update our own worldview, our own perception, our own world, really. Because the mental model that we see the world in changes as we interact with the world. Because it's new information, and so you get an experience out of it, and then you will update your own world to see the world in a slightly different way because you've interacted with the real world in a slightly different way than you have before. So I hope that part makes sense. So that's how you interact with the real world and update your own world in that way. Okay. So now, sort of the hard part, which is when you're interacting with another person. So that person will have their own worldview and you have your own worldview, and they will share their worldview with you. And if they, so when they share it, they're actually expressing through whatever means they can, through speaking, through, movements, through anything, that they can do with their body, right? So they're expressing their own worldview to you. And when they do this, they're sharing their worldview to you. And what you can do is, what you should be doing is taking that worldview that they're sharing with you as information and pick apart all the pieces that you like from that worldview and then integrate it into your own to make your own worldview work for you when you're interacting with other people or the real world. Okay. What often happens though is people get angry because the person expressing their worldview might be expressing it pretty aggressively, and it might make you defensive. And so when your body gets defensive, it will reject everything that is trying to get in as information. So information is trying to get through your brain, but since you're defensive, you're going to block all that out. And so that's why you're not really listening to that person. You're only listening enough to to kind of dispute with them, to kind of argue with them, like, no, that's not true. This is how I see it. This is my own worldview and stuff like that. So then it doesn't become an exchange of information anymore. It becomes a battle. And when you're in battle, you're not listening to the other person. You're only trying to push your own worldview now onto the other person and get the other person to shut up. And so that's a waste of time, and that's a waste of energy. When you get to that point, just stop, because nothing's getting through. So if you want to live with less and less problems, you will need to update your worldview, because you don't know everything. No one knows everything. And to be able to solve all the problems that you have in your life, you need to constantly update your worldview to match whatever it is that is out there. And you cannot match whatever it is that's out there unless you learn from the experience when you're interacting with life, and learn from other people's perspective. Like, not everything. You don't need to agree with everything. Just take whatever you like from their worldview and integrate it into yours, if you agree with it, or if you like it, if it works. And maybe you don't agree with it, but maybe try it anyway and see how it works, because it's a different way of doing things from what you've done before. And if you've been constantly having the same problems over and over, maybe take someone else's perspective, try it for a little bit, and then see if it changes. See if it solves your problem. And if it doesn't, reject it. And maybe try it for at least 3 times before you reject it. But if it doesn't work, reject it. Try something else. Because you can't try the same thing over and over, because it keeps giving you the same problem, right? So you gotta try different things, and that's how you update your worldview. You take on new information, you test it out in the real world, and then through that experience, if it works, then you update your mental model, your own worldview, to take on that new piece of information. So that's basically how we should be living our life, right? It's simple as that. It's just that when we get into arguments, or we are emotionally charged, we get into a defensive mode where new information does not come in. This works with everybody, not just kids, adults as well. Like, when the kids are fearful, no information comes in because they're in defense mode. Okay, adults are the same thing. They get emotionally charged, they're in defense mode or offense mode. So no new information gets in, and that's a waste of energy and time. I hope that was helpful. And if you have any questions, leave a comment. Thanks for listening.